Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om, good evening and welcome from Buffalo, New York. I begin by apologizing for last week's technical difficulties. I was ambitious in thinking that we could have our class beside a very picturesque place for all of you. On Tuesday for the Advanced Vedanta course, we actually did the class right in front of Lake Louise, and it worked out fine. So we thought we could do it for the Moha Mudgara course too, but it didn't happen. So I apologize for that. Okay. I'm going to restart what I was sharing last week for the sake of thoroughness, because you may have heard it, but it may have been choppy. In 2009, Puja Swami Tejamayana had come to Niagara and Toronto for our Mahasamadhi camp, the big Chinmay Mission family camp that happens once a year. And after the camp was over, then he was meeting with all of the organizers, and he asked, would you want to organize the camp again? And we all wholeheartedly said, yes, we would like to organize the camp again. And he said, good, because if you said no, then that means this wasn't treated like sadhana. It wasn't treated like seva. I want you to take this macro idea and make it micro. And I'm going to change the question to, are you looking forward to tomorrow's responsibilities? To waking up to your alarm clock, to running errands, to going to school, whatever your responsibilities may be. And if the answer is no, then it's not sadhana for us, it's not seva. And if the answer is yes, then this Moha Mudgara course has become dynamic and not static. And if I can give you a framework to make this more clear. Tomorrow, if you have an apathy towards living, then that shows there's a lot of tamas in one's personality, a lot of darkness, laziness in one's personality. I know that there's responsibilities, but still I'm trying to resist that. That's not ignorance, that's apathy. Tomorrow, if I have a lust for living, what I'm going to get tomorrow, praise, recognition, where I can be on top, then there's a lot of rajas in one's personality, a lot of aggressiveness. Tomorrow, if you have an appreciation for responsibilities, then there's a lot of sattva in one's personality, a lot of calmness. That these responsibilities are my contribution to humanity. It's for my well-being. And if tomorrow you have a love for living, that it doesn't have anything to do with even me, my contribution, the word me is not even there, then it shows that we've gone even higher than sattva, even higher than calmness. We've become one with living. And this is what Acharya Shankara is trying to guide us to invoke, a love for living. And my plan is to ask you with every class, do you love living more? And if the answer is yes, then this class it's not a class, it's not a course, it's become you. Going back to shloka 1 of Bhaja Govindam, Acharya Shankara shares here, samprapte sannihite kale. Samprapte means this is well coming. Sannihite, this is well appointed. And what is this? Kale. Kale means change. Change is going to come, and a fatalistic change is death is going to come. And he says, nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane. Dukrin karane here means anything that is less important. Anything that is less important than self-development, nahi rakshati, this will not save us from the fear of change. This will not save us from the fear of death. Change and death are going to come, so let us embrace these. Let us embrace these by preparing for these. And that's why Acharya Shankara says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Sing that which is higher. And from singing evolve to seeking. From seeking evolve to worshipping. From worshipping to, sing, seek, serve. After serving, worshipping, then loving, and finally, being. And this is a message that a lot of ritualists don't share. A lot of karmakandis do not propagate this message. They always want to keep the person praying and to whom we're praying separate. But Puja Swami Vivekananda has shared, don't worship Lord Krishna as Lord Krishna, worship Lord Krishna as yourself. When you and I pray, sing, seek, serve, etc., 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 we're actually invoking our potential because our minds become more quiet. And when our minds are more quiet, it's like water. You can see what's the depth of that water. We can see the depth of ourselves. With this in mind, we now move on to shloka 2. And please remember, shloka 1 is it's the summary for the rest of the shlokas. From this shloka, now different details are filled in, but this is the shloka that is the essence of Bhaja Govindam. I'll chant each line, you please repeat. Muda jahihi dhana agama trishnam Guru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishnam Yallabhase nija karmopatam Vittam tena vinodaya chittam. Together, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. All of the people who are in a public area right now, I want you to sing more loudly than the people who are in private areas. Courage! What does Acharya Shankara here say? What is the first word of the shloka again? Muda. I love the straightforwardness with which Acharya Shankara teaches. He calls all of us fools. And he calls us fools to catch our attention. He calls us fools to communicate the seriousness of the subject. And I was joking last week that when a spouse calls another spouse by their first name, you know something serious is going to be discussed. You know, that's when you start to pay attention more when that terminology is used. Or even parents with kids, you know, instead of beta, beti, raja, rani, whatever, the name comes out. Then you know it's not anger, it's disappointment that's coming forth. And like from Shloka 1, Acharya Shankara, just by calling us mudha, is trying to make us aware, to beware of that which is not important. Each shloka, he takes up a different fragmented view of life. In Shloka 1, it's people who only make academics a priority. Now in Shloka 2, and we're going to cover Shloka 3 today also, number 2 is wealth. Number 3, it's lust. These are all fragmented ways of living. And this is so evident when you're in business school. What is one, and not just business school, and corporations, and really all of society now, what do we take pride in doing? You know, people say, I'm really good at doing this, when in the ashram we say that's not something to be proud of. Multitasking. Multitasking is a form of aviveka. I actually don't know what's important, so I'm doing everything. It's like people who are non-committal in relationships, right? They never leave the dating scene because they don't know how to commit. Those are all fragmented views of living. More specifically, Acharya Shankara says here, Jahihi, indeed you must let go of dhana. You must let go of wealth. Many people think that Advaita Vedanta is a message of anti-materials. You know, you shouldn't have materials. But you have to finish the sentence, agama trishna. That dependency on materials, the dependency on wealth, has to be let go of. Advaita Vedanta is not against materials, it is against materialism. What is the difference between having materials and depending on materials? A lot. There's a psychological element in there. This message is anti-materialism. It is not anti-materials. You and I think that a certain combination and permutation of wealth will make us more secure. Isn't it? Your retirement fund, if I asked all of you to tell me, how much do you need to be secure in your retirement? Is it 100,000? Is it 500,000? Is it 1,000,000? I don't think you'll have a single consistent answer. And that shows that there's no combination or permutation of wealth that can make us secure. And even if wealth does come in to our personalities, into our lives, it makes us quiet, but it's so temporary, highly temporary. If I buy a new car, then the first day I drive it around, very proudly, look at my new car. And that same day my car gets dirty. So all of a sudden that pride is less. Or I see someone with a better car. And that temporary quietude actually creates more agitation then, doesn't it? My younger sister last week went to Puff Daddy and the World Tour reunion, for those who know that music scene. When I was in high school, I actually went to 2 of those shows when Puff Daddy was on top. Interestingly, he's still the highest earning rapper in the industry right now, and it's not because of his singing, certainly not because of his singing or concerts, but it's more of his business acumen. So for all of the people who are laughing because you can identify with this right now, what is one song that Puff Daddy and Mace and all of them sang related to this shloka? Mo money, mo problems. Exactly. The song is Mo Money, Mo Problems. And the idea is we think having more money means less problems, but that's not the case. Some money is needed, all money is not needed. So this is what's shared in the first line. In the second line, Acharya Shankara says, Kuru, in your buddhi, make your intellect focus on sat. Sat means that which is more important, that which is higher, that which will bring you real happiness. And I love how Acharya Shankara says Kuru here. Whenever you tell someone, don't do this, what do they automatically do? They think about how to do this, right? Don't swear right now. All swear words come through our mind, correct? So he says Kuru. Instead of saying don't, he says do. Do make your intellect stronger, because the mind doesn't understand the programming of don't. This software doesn't register that. He's saying make the intellect stronger, and you'll notice in the second line, the same word, vitrishnam, comes up. In the first line, vitrishnam. In the second line, also vitrishnam. In the first line, it was dependency. In the second line, it means you should have a different dependency. This dependency should be on the higher. And we don't call that dependency then. We call that satsang. We call that a pursuit that frees us. So the same vitrishnam, if it's directed towards the lower, it's an addiction. If it's directed towards the higher, it's sadhana. In the same way, sneha and prema. Sneha, I have a love for the lower, I don't focus on the higher. Prema, I have a love for the higher, I don't focus on the lower. It's the same love, but where it's directed. Vitrishnam means a thirst for, a dependency. But what are you thirsting for? What are you dependent on? And if it's for sat, this is what will make us free. In the next line, he says, Yallabhase nija karmo patam. Whatever you work for, what you're supposed to deserve from that work will come to you. In other words, we all get what we deserve. And isn't it fascinating? When matters are going well in our lives, we say, yes, I deserve that. And if matters are not going well, why me? We become so dramatic. But whether it's positive or negative, we deserve it. And it's all based on our work. This is a perfect system. Whatever we are to get in our lives, we will get in our lives. When I was engaged in commercial real estate actively, then I had this old Indian uncle, who loved to give advice. You just finished business school, you're starting to work, and though you never ask for advice, still that advice is coming. And I remembered his advice. He said, every dollar that you're supposed to get, you will get. Whether you sell a property, whether you open a store, etc., 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 you won't get $1 more and you won't get $1 less. And I very much appreciated what he said, because he has a lot of experience in all of this, and he's a seeker also. Now think of how our lives would change if we accepted that all that comes into our lives, or doesn't come into our lives, we deserve. Wouldn't we be more cheerful? Rarely do we see cheerful people anymore, isn't it? When we see happy people, we think, hey, how come that person's happy? What's wrong? What's wrong with that person? When we see sad people, no problem, right? We can relate to that. It's so interesting how our acceptance of the negative is there, but there's no acceptance for the positive. Guruji had shared, we need wealth, not greed. We do need wealth, but we don't need greed. And that's what this shloka is slowly dismantling, is greed. In English, what is greed called? What kind of disease? The green disease. Greed is a green disease. Or is jealousy the green disease? Doesn't matter. They're both the same thing. But it makes you feel green. It makes you feel sick physically, mentally. And so the last line says, Vittam, tena vittam. With that wealth, what should you be? Vinoda. You should be cheerful in your chittam, in your mind. In other words, be content. Whatever you get in life, you will deserve. So be content with what comes. And in this simple last quarter, Acharya Shankara is teaching us to focus on actions and not the fruits. For all of the students in this Moha Mudgara course, after you write an exam, what do you do? If you've studied well, you enjoy. If you've not studied well, you go back into your notes and why did I put in this answer? What mark did you get? So many mind games we play with ourselves and with others. But if you've studied well, you're free. When I was in business school, we had 4-hour exams. And it was our first exam that we were to write. And I asked my professor, I said, so how should I study for this exam? And he said, go see a movie. I was like, whoa, business school's sweet. But why should I go see a movie? He said, if you haven't studied thus far, you're not going to understand it right now. In other words, you should focus on your actions and then the fruits will come according to what you need. And I love how in our scriptures we use the word fruits. Can you force a fruit to grow? You can give lots of sun, fertilizer, soil, water, but a fruit will grow when it's supposed to grow. Our lives are the same way. We call them results, but fruits is a better idea. And when we focus on our actions, I think I shared this with all of you already. Let's take on fruits first. Fruits are in the past, present, or future tense. Future tense. Fruits are in your control or out of your control? Out of control. So in the future, out of your control. Everyone agrees? Okay, now let's take actions. Past, present, or future? Present. In your control or out of your control? In control. So your actions are in the present and in your control. So where should you be focusing? On your actions. They're in the present and they're in your control. And see how I started. And if you learn to love life, then you don't call it work, you call it play. When we practice contentment, there's less weight on our personality. We become free. Right now I'm in the process of writing 3 vicharas on Lord of the Rings, one for each part. And I love in the first scene when Frodo has the ring. Many of you saw last week that we were on our Chinmaya Inspiration Yatra to the Canadian Rockies. And as we were hiking through the Rockies, it totally reminded us sometimes of the Shire, sometimes of Mordor. It was really that scene that was manifesting. So spontaneously, I gave all of the people with us different names. So someone was Schmeagol, someone was Aragorn, someone was... I naturally became Gandalf the White. Not Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White. And in part 1, when Frodo... The ring is on the floor, and Gandalf puts it in an envelope and gives it to Frodo or Bilbo or some character like that. See, he doesn't even touch that ring. Because he knows he already has so much in his life that if he takes this, that contentment may change into discontentment. It's so beautiful that you have to have that stamina to have wealth but not be affected by wealth. And I'm especially talking to all of the people in New York City, all of the people in Connecticut. I shared in the last course when I was being driven from Orange, New Haven, where Yale is, and I was being driven to an airport in New York City, they were telling me that this is the most dangerous stretch of the 95 in all of the United States. And the 95 goes from Maine, I believe, all the way to Florida. And it's not because of snow. It's actually quite a developed 2-hour stretch. But people who are going to work in New York City are so stressed going there, and then after work they're so stressed coming home, that people just fail to see, fail to stop. So secretly my message is move to small cities. Everyone is happier in, in smaller cities. One more thought on this shloka. You know, Puja Swami Vivekananda, when he heard Sri Ramakrishna teach him about how we should have wealth based on need and not based on greed, he tested Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Once, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa was doing puja in the Kali Mandir, and he took a rupee coin, and he actually put it underneath the mattress of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. And Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa came to his room, and he slept, but he couldn't sleep. He kept on feeling this burning sensation in his back. And the next day, he showed Puja Swami Vivekananda that, you know, I couldn't sleep. I feel like there's this burn mark on my back. And it was from that rupee coin. Because he was so independent of even that level of wealth. And that was a lot back in the day. That he taught Swami Vivekananda. He's teaching us in the same way that if we have the wrong contact with wealth, we get burned. Wealth never gets burned. We get burned. So be free of greed. Fine? Okay, we move on to shloka number 3. Please repeat each quarter. And don't think too much as you're chanting, okay? This is going to require discussion to understand this. Nadi stana bhara nabi desham Drishtva maga moha vesham Etan mam savasadi vikaram Manasi vichintya varam varam. Together, bhaja govindam, govindam bhaja mudamate. You know, when there's any shlokas where some sort of gender is mentioned, don't interpret this literally. So the first word that's being shared here is nadi. Nadi means a young girl. Okay, and if it means a young girl, it also means a young boy. Stana bhara means breasts. And nabi desham means belly. So the breasts or upper body and belly or lower body of a young person. Okay? And the next word will be drishtva, but I want to just hold on here. As Sheila and I were driving to Buffalo today, I was discussing this shloka with her, and she thought, isn't it interesting that what's in our belly, well, what's in my belly is fat, okay? And then what breasts are made of is also fat. And fat in one place is attractive, and fat in another place is unattractive. Isn't that fascinating? And she said, what if 50 years from now we got reversed? And I said, I'd be a very handsome person then, isn't it? But it's just fat. But where that fat is, that's what beautiful is. Think about hair. You know, if you have hair on your head, then great. But if you have too much hair here, then not great, etc., etc., etc. When someone's focus is only on breasts and bellies, it's very degrading to that person, and it's more degrading for the person who's focusing on that, isn't it? What is the oldest profession in history? Prostitution. For all of the NFL fans out there, And I'm sure you know this, and if you don't know this, you already should know this. Wherever the Super Bowl goes every year, a huge human trafficking and prostitution ring goes with it. Based on the NFL, wherever the Super Bowl is. It's stunning, and the better word is shocking, what people will do for money, as we just studied, and in this case, mamsa, which means flesh. It's degrading for both parties. And so anyone who really cares for humans will not focus on breasts and bellies. And so in the next line, Acharya Shankara says, Drishtva, having seen, maga moha vesham, having seen, try not to be deluded. Don't let yourself be overwhelmed by what you've seen. Now, if we strictly take genders, 50% of this world is males and 50% of this world is females. I'm generalizing here. And I've seen people, and I'll give you very specific examples, life examples, okay? When we are studying in the Vedanta course, then in the evening we have Aarti from 6:30 to 7 in Jagadishwara Mandir. And from 7 to 8 we studied various bhakti shastras like Ramayana, Bhajagovindam. And one day, a very talented Bharatanatyam dancer had come to Guruji and asked if she can perform in front of Bhagwan Jagadishwara. And he said yes. So as soon as Aarti was finished, they made a big square in the mandir with string, so she had somewhere to dance. And there was one of my batchmates, and it's good, I studied a long time ago, so you'll never know who I'm talking about. He was pushing people out of the way. He pushed me out of the way too, just to sit front row. And I was thinking, whoa, he must love Bharatanatyam. And I sat behind him. And as soon as she came on to the middle of that, in that middle of that mandir, she began, he looked down and he was just going, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And I just wanted to tap him on the shoulder. You're never going to see a girl in your life. You're just going to, every time you see a girl, you're going to go, Om Namah Shivaya. You should see that, but still look at her and say, Om Namah Shivaya. See, that's moha also, isn't it? Here's where Guruji said, seeing someone is not the problem. Seeing them again, moha. You know, if you see, in this case, a girl, fine. But if you keep looking at her, if that seeing turns into staring, right, that's illegal. That's called being a creeper. That's the problem. That's the moha that Acharya Shankara is warning us against. It is being irresponsible, and it causes so much irresponsibility. You can remember the Raw from 2 weeks ago, which is about studying newspapers and what the article's about? If I gave you a Raw to study the movies on Netflix, and you and I do this on a regular basis anyways, we study movies on Netflix more than watch them, correct? If I asked you to study how many movies there are about irresponsibility with wealth, in other words, shloka number 2 of Bhajagovindam, or irresponsibility when it comes to the body, shloka number 3 of Bhajagovindam, there would be so many movies. Don't you agree? Mafia movies, so many university movies where there's irresponsibility. Acharya Shankara says, Etan, this breasts, bellies that you're looking at, it's just mamsa. Mamsa means flesh. Vasa means fat. Adi, etc. These are all just changes, vikaras of flesh and fat. And for anyone who's studied Viveka Chudamani, there's a very powerful shloka. And Acharya Shankara shares this, and Pujaswami Chinmayananda, he elaborates on this. He says, when you look at someone, all they are is a bucket of hair. Okay, I need you to visualize this. Right now you see Vivek, but I want you to envision what I'm sharing. So a bucket of hair. So the little hair that I have, there's one bucket. A bucket of skin. So imagine all of my skin in one bucket. A bucket of veins and arteries and blood. That's a much bigger, more gruesome bucket. The skin one is still okay, but the veins and arteries, then a bucket of that. A bucket of bones. A bucket of bone marrow. A bucket of fat. Not too much fat from my bucket, but a bucket of fat also. Right? Imagine these buckets are here and then this audio is coming on Moha Mudgara. All of you would have visual, you'd shut down my camera. But isn't that all this is? Just because you put it together doesn't make it beautiful. Think, are you attracted to bone marrow? If it's your own hair on your head, no problem. But if that same hair falls into your own food, it becomes gross. And if someone else's hair falls into your food, right, you can return that food. This is what we're attracted to. It's not if we think. We are not attracted to these objects. We are attracted to the life that makes these objects sentient. If I died in this house right now, all of the people here would be scared, and in some traditions they would have to bathe right away. They'd have to clean up their house both physically and ritualistically. And so really it's not the body that people are attracted to or interested in. It is that life. So why not acknowledge that? Why not focus on the life that enlivens? This is what comes out in the third line. And finally, Acharya Shankara says, I know you all get it now, but I know you're going to forget as soon as this shloka is over. So, manasi, in your mind, what should you do? Not chintya, vichintya. Think deeply, think thoroughly. That vi means in a special way. And when should you think? Vara means again, and then another vara means again and again and again and again. So really, what Acharya Shankara is saying is, engage in nitya vichara. Constant thinking along these lines. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he actually comes up with a special term to teach us how to think. He calls it pratipaksha bhavana. Pratipaksha bhavana, which means to see the full picture. What is the benefit of going to a buffet? Benefit of going to a buffet? Choices. Maybe a little bit less expensive. You can focus on what you want to eat more. And what's the disadvantage of a buffet? You never eat where you're happy, correct? That happiness is very short-lived, but we think it's my choice, I paid for this, that I should eat lots. See, if you see the full picture of a buffet, the chances are you won't go to a buffet. But if you don't see the full picture of a buffet, then it's the American thing to do. Pratipaksha bhavana. Think. The more you identify with your body, the more you will identify with other people's bodies. When Acharya Gaurang was in Niagara Falls, then after our contemplation session, I would go to a gym back in the day. And afterwards, I would meet him for breakfast. And he would say, "What do you do at the gym?" And I said, "Mostly cardio, some strength resistance." "How long do you go for?" And I said, "Around 45 minutes. And he said, "Good, don't go for too long." And that caught me by surprise. Usually people say, spend more time at the gym. And he said, "Don't go for too long." And I asked Uncle, "Why?" And he said, "Because if you spend too much time in the gym, you become too body conscious. You become identified with your body too much. And you see the people in the gym who are most body conscious, they're actually looking at other people also. I'm stronger than that person. I like how that person looks. And on and on and on. Reflect. We should make reflection as natural as presently how we react. We're very good at reacting, correct? We should make reflection as natural as our reactions. To summarize what we've studied so far, in life, there's only two drives for us. One drive is called dukkha nivritti, to let go of sorrow. And the other drive is sukha prapti, the drive to hold on to joy. So let go of sorrow, hold on to joy. Acharya Shankara is asking all of us. In the first shloka, it was position. Whatever our strategy is, focusing on position in life, is it working? Shloka number 2, the focus is on possessions. Is it working? And in this shloka, it is pleasure. Is it working? We want to let go of sorrow and hold on to joy. Is our strategy working? And that's why he's trying to wake us up to engage in bhaja Govinda. Goswami Tulsidas ji, he shares, as well as Acharya Shankara, the way that a vanik, the way that a merchant thinks about his or her business, if you and I thought about self-development the same way, we would all be enlightened. The way that someone will think about what's going to happen on Sunday in regards to their fantasy football league, in regards to what food they're going to buy, where they're going to watch the game, etc., etc. If we just thought about self-development in the same way, we would be patient, we would be inspired. Direction is what Acharya Shankara is sharing. And he's very deeply showing us the need for a Sadguru who can open our eyes to what's in front of us. Narayana.